Hi, it's Dawn from Dawn's Dirt. Dirt can mean anything from gardening to farming to homesteading to politics and religion. And so I'm here today with Shane, Kenisha, and Melissa, and we are going to have a great conversation about freedom and food and farming and agriculture and whatever else comes onto the table today. So welcome here. Can you each take a moment and just say who you are, introduce yourself, and kind of what brought you here?
Thank you. My name is Melissa. I am coming today from Calgary, which is where I reside with my family. And I'm very excited to be working with Kenisha and Shane on our collective projects, helping people with wellness, with food. And thanks to you, Dawn, for having us on here today. I'm really excited about this show. Thank you, Dawn. I'm Kenisha, also here in Calgary, and used to work as a registered nurse and connected with Dawn. I guess that was last year. We had a wellness engagement where Dawn was speaking and sharing the power of her voice with our community members. We are a part of a private membership association here in Calgary. Very exciting. Want to share more with the community on all of the benefits of being in the private.
I love it. Shane, welcome here.
Hey, right on. Thanks for having me, Don. Pleasure to meet you all. I'm Shane Pulak. I'm with Blackfeet Health Products and the YYC Rocks, which is Kenisha and Melissa and Dee Dee's organization. Been last 5-6 years making lots of natural medicines, really exploring all things authentic food, all things authentic people, all things authentic medicine in a time of great fakery. We believe in real people, real food, and real medicine. And to me, that is our pathway and educational keys out of this mess we're in.
Love it. I love it. Thanks for being here. I love it. And you're part of a group, Kenisha. What's your group called?
We are YYC Rocks, and that stands for Rebuilding Our Community with Kindness and Self-Determination.
I love it. And you're a private members club?
Private Members Association, but I think Shane might, we're going to be switching that soon. We'll let Shane share that.
Joining you today, thing for about 4 years, 2 years more formally, and I just find absolute abundance and real good power and a lot of good people, a lot of good things in a private members association, lots of opportunity, lots of abundance, more freedom, more self-determination. I encourage everybody to be part of a private membership or a private members association. It's probably one of the strongest things you can do for yourself and your life and your family.
I love that. And so, so I got a question around that. So with Private Members Association, Kenisha, maybe you can answer this. With the Private Members Association, is it more that if you've paid your $5 or whatever the dues are for the year, it might be, I don't know what it is, but if you've paid your membership due, you're private. And so there is less rules and regulations around and bureaucracy around what the government can and cannot do with you. Is that true? Or what does that mean?
Yeah, essentially, it's a way of protecting yourself from the arm's reach of the government. We have our own set of guidelines we go by through our private membership agreement. It comes, we have our articles of association, our constitution. These are really what guides us and our principles and our values and how we're operating, how we're dealing with conflict resolution, disputes, things like this. And we do have a lot of offerings in the private that are not available in the public.
Some examples of that?
Certain things, like vitamin I guess I can say, things to do with, ozone treatments, things that people are trying to access that, we're in a communist country. I don't know, your followers, but I'm just really not happy as a Canadian and the privileges and the rights that I currently have. How do you break away and, how do you just exchange person to person? That's the trust that I need. To carry forward in my daily routine. I don't need anybody else telling me what to do, getting authority from anybody else other than the people I'm choosing to interact with. So yeah, there's a lot of benefits in the private, and the more I am around Melissa and Shane here, the less I know. So I think it's great that we start coming together in community and just start having conversations. Everybody's on a different part of their journey, and we just want to meet people where they're at and just start a conversation.
Absolutely. So Shane, maybe you can say, how did you get connected into this?
Yeah, so I think it goes back to something when I was a child, and that idea of going to school and that authoritarianism that I felt and sensed in school. And, when we look at schools, they're very closely aligned to prisons. They're built in the same manner. They have bells and buzzers. There's always authority around. So for me at that young age, I just sensed that there's something very wrong, and that, like, school, in my opinion, I've been a teacher. I've been on both sides of this fence. And like when I taught in private schools, my kids were always on time and they couldn't wait to get to my class because it was fun and exciting, because I wanted to give them the opportunities that I didn't get. And when I think about going back to like when I was a kid, I dreaded going there. They said there's something wrong with that boy. He stares out the window too much. So for me, it's been ingrained in me, in my, I guess, in my soul. My spirit knows better. So the discernment in me was at a young age. I guess maybe that's my gift. Ever since then, I always pushed, towards, I don't want to say bucking the system, like doing illegal things. I didn't do that, but I was always pushing for a more lawful way where both parties would win, rather than the legal system where there's always a winner and a loser. There's always a contract to be had in the legal system. And typically you, the person, because that's what they like to put on the tickets, is the person is the loser. That's you or I. So I'm not really interested in those types of scenarios. I'm interested in lawful things. I'm interested in following the 10 Commandments. I'm not interested in Babylon. I'm interested in leaving Babylon. So that's why I got more involved with PMAs, because it is the key to leaving Babylon. And what I mean by Babylon is the public. The public is a very, very dangerous place, okay? And people don't realize it. And they think that they're persons, and they wear these titles and they walk around in public to be basically taking advantage of at some capacity, whether that's with taxes, the actual public system itself, the rules and regulations. So as COVID came on and the rules got like so thick for the public, I said like, whoa, whoa, whoa. I talked to my peers, I talked to the people I associate with, and we said, we must do something to get ourselves out of Babylon. We need to build ourselves an escape hatch. And that's exactly what we did. And
Yeah.
it's not just me, guys. I stand on the shoulders of giants, okay? Like I've been lucky enough and fortunate enough to reside here in the, Edmonton area. And I don't stick around Edmonton because I like the weather or the landscape, because both suck. But I love the people of this area. There is amazing people in Alberta. There's something about Albertans that has a certain resiliency, a certain truth, a certain authenticity that you cannot find anywhere else in my, at least, travels across this nation. And I feel like we're dealing with a lot of complicit babies, mostly in society. These people are sitting on a fence waiting for some savior. And that's not going to happen. You're going to find the community that is your so-called savior. It's the people you associate with that'll make or break you. And that's why I'm really happy to have met Kenisha, Melissa, Edie, even yourself, Don. I know you're salt of the earth. I can just tell by looking in your eyes who you are and what you're about. That's something that only I feel happens here in this Alberta area. And I've got to live on both sides of the fence here with our people that, we'll call them, us people, white people, multicolored people. But I've also lived with the original people of Alberta on both sides. So I spend a lot of time with natives. And from that, I learned a lot about medicine. And from that, I've learned even more about sovereignty. So it really starts with the sovereignty and who you are. You must know who you are in this day and age. If you do not know who you are, you will get ate up and spit out because you didn't know who you are. And that's what Babylon does. It just eats up the fodder, okay? And it's just always in search of more money and more power. It's a disease that has to be dealt with. And the best way to deal with this disease is through non-participation. Just say no. Do not comply. And that's why we're in the mess we're in Canada, okay? Because of compliance. They want to sit on the fence. We're going to be headed into a different earth, a different time. A whole new age is coming upon us. and it will only honestly be for the strong. And that's just how it is.
Do you remember the toilet paper wars of 2020? Are you worried about being prepared in an emergency? Are you tired of being a slave to the corporations we purchase from? It's time to take control. Become ungovernable. Take your food system into your own hands. Hi, I'm Dawn, a coach dedicated to helping you live like grandma used to. Self-reliant, resourceful, and prepared. Whether it's raising chickens, growing a garden, canning your own food, or even milking a cow, I'll teach you how to thrive and survive in the space you have, big or small. We can even potentially make some money off your homestead. Visit Dawn's Dirt today to book your free jumpstart call. Together, as a team, we can get you self-reliant and ungovernable. We, the people, have the power to take back control. Remember, if you give a man a fish, he eats for a day. But if you teach a man to fish, he eats for a lifetime. Let's build a better future and a community, one skill set at a time.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you on that. I do see a shift in our society right now, back to Jesus, back to the Bible, back to those principles, back to, we can see it with, and it started with COVID actually, good and evil. And we see it more and more now, good and evil, good and evil. And because the chasm between that is getting so big, people are going, they're looking left and they're looking right. And I'm not saying left and right are good and bad, but I'm just saying they're looking at the two perspectives and they're going, what is going on? And you can see it in our society right now that people are searching and they're trying to find something. And yeah, many people are turning to God. You see what's going on with Tucker Carlson. You see what's going on with, what is that guy's name? He's that actor.
I don't watch TV.
Fair. And totally good. I think that's fair. Anyways, so many people are coming to the Lord over this. And so let's get to you, Melissa. Tell me what's going on. Tell me what your thought process is.
Well, when it comes to sovereignty, I mean, I've been at this for a long time. When I was 16 years old, I emancipated myself, meaning I took responsibility for myself. I applied to the court to have responsibility for myself. I didn't want to live at home anymore. And so I was able to move out on my own at 16 and stay with people that were not my parents. And so that was really my first introduction into it. I remember sitting in my class and my teacher was like, you need to write a note for missing this exam or test or assignment or whatever it was. And I said, oh, you need a note? And she said, yeah. I said, well, what does it need to say? And she told me, so I wrote it down and she laughs at me. She's like, well, you need to get a parent to sign it. I said, or a guardian, right? She goes, yeah, or a guardian. So I signed it and I showed her my emancipation papers, because I was guardian of myself. And so then fast forward about 5 years, I decided I was done with my last name. I had my own reasons. That's a story on its own, but I was complete with this last name. I wasn't going to go by this anymore. I was just going to go by my given name, first and middle. And so I went to the registry to have it removed, and they told me, you can't do that. I said, well, I'm done with this. I gave them my reasons. I told them I'm complete. And that was it. I wasn't leaving because I wasn't doing this anymore with this name. And the lady said, well, I can't help you unless you have a name. I said, well, what am I supposed to do? I don't have a name. I don't want this name. She goes, well, pick a different one. So I sat down with the phone book and I flipped through the pages until I found a name that I liked, and I picked that one. And so, and as I learn about the birth certificates and the different persons and all these things, it makes sense to me that my soul knew that I didn't want to be under this title. I didn't want to be under this control. You know, it was my whole life led me to be reliant on myself. And now I'm so fortunate to have other people in community that I can collaborate with, that we can be interdependent, which means, you know, we're doing our own thing, but we can rely on each other. We operate in trust. We operate in authenticity and honesty and vulnerability and collaboration. And it's like, you know, my sisters and my brothers, and not the ones that were born from my same parents, but the ones in our community, right? Like the ones with like hearts. I see that they want the freedom that I enjoy because I left the system a long time ago. I'm not participating with all these systematic movements. So, you know, as you know for yourself, I mean, we need to have more sovereignty when it comes to making our decisions around food. When somebody else is controlling everything, who is the one that is at the deficit? We are the ones that are losing access. We shouldn't have to beg or borrow or license for our access. This is a God-given right. We were granted dominion of the earth to care for and shepherd the earth, care for the animals and the trees and the birds and all the things. We're responsible for that. And I take that responsibility very seriously. with great power becomes great responsibility. And I feel very powerful and I feel very responsible. When I say that responsible, I feel like that's my ability to respond. So I work very hard on myself so that I am able to respond to situations. I don't want to be reacting. I don't want to be frantic. I don't want to be stressed. So I put certain things in my life to help me manage my own stress and to really regulate my nervous system. That's one of the things I focus on the most. And I mean, one of the great ways to regulate a nervous system is to go into the greenhouse. Kenisha can tell you when she's doing when she's looking at these bloods under the microscope, who has the nicest blood out there? People who's been hanging out in greenhouses. That's the truth.
Very interesting, actually. Okay, man, there's so much to unpack there as well. Okay, because I owned a greenhouse. I owned a 37 square foot greenhouse. So, Kenisha, I want to get back to the blood thing in just a moment because I want to hear about what that is because it sounds like, but back to your control thing. I've been saying it as a farmer. I was a farmer for many years, and I've been saying it for at least about 10 years now. He who controls the food controls the people. And I've been seeing the bureaucracy come down the pipes within our food system for many, many years. I've been a farmer since I was 5 years old. And the hardest thing I've ever had to do was sell my farm. And it was because of bureaucracy. It was because I would show up to even a quote unquote farmer's market and I'd be competing against cucumbers, tomatoes, and peppers that were being bought and sold at a farmer's market for less money than what I could grow and sell my produce for. And it was all being sold as farm direct, which was bullshit. Liar, liar, pants on fire. And so that's the hard thing is I've been seeing the control in our food. I pulled out of the grocery store, selling my produce to the grocery store a long time ago, and the warehouse, even before that, because of the bureaucracy, the rules and regulations. And so that's the thing. When you talk about dominion, food, we've been given food. We've been given animals. We've been given plants. We've been told, like take care of the earth and be stewards of the land. And yeah, that's why I'm getting into doing what I'm doing is teaching people now how to grow food, how to raise food, how to bring food back to a community. And so that's where I'm at these days is, helping people do that. And we need to see more communities and, seeing this private membership where you get a group of people together, buy a plot of land and have your farm and have your food. That's sovereignty. That's, not pandering into this big bureaucratic system. So Kenisha, can you tell me what are you talking about? Blood. What are you doing? So you need a drop of my blood. Now this sounds into like voodoo magic stuff. So what if I give you a drop of blood, what are you going to do with it?
Well, I put it under the microscope, Dawn, and it's really it's a beautiful visual when it's pulled up on the monitor and you can visually see, what is your red blood cells looking like? What are your white blood cells? There's so much to see in the blood, liver stress, kidney stress, lots of bacterial, fungal stuff. Everybody's just, loving up the sugar right now. Everybody's just, at the max with candida. I won't say everyone. I'll say the majority of the people that I see. But what's more concerning is for me anyways, is seeing the children's blood. The children's blood is the worst right now. And the amount of nanotechnology, there's lots of synthetic foreign material in people's blood that has come about from the pandemic, air, water. It's coming in from everywhere. So the majority of people I'm seeing, they have, flashing lights and robotic things, self-assembling things that do not belong in our bodies. So we're working with people right now to be detoxing this stuff out and just really supporting the body to get back what God has intended our bodies to be made of.
So in your opinion, so you were a nurse, so you were part of the healthcare system, part of that big, I think it's about money. I think it's very money driven. That's just my opinion. I do think that there's a time and a place. If I break a leg, I'd like a doctor to set that bone for me. But where is these particles and these synthetic, not organic things coming from in your opinion? So you've been a nurse, the healthcare side. What's going on?
I left in 2021. Essentially, I got fired from not taking those shots. But like I said, it's coming in from the air. It's coming in from the water here in Calgary now. The doctor, Bob, a part of our community, has been fighting this long fight against the fluoride. And, all this stuff is coming into our water systems. The chemtrails, are I'm living right over a flight path. I was out shoveling the other day and I had 9 planes go out by the time I was done shoveling my garage or my driveway. And I'm just like, we're breathing all this in. It's in our food. I don't know if people are noticing, even the kiwis in the packaging are saying wash thoroughly. Like, how are you washing a kiwi thoroughly? Like, they're just putting stuff in every single thing, and it's just coming in from all directions. Going back to the importance of having our own land, having our own food and water security is just paramount right now. And everyone I run into, I just am trying to share the awareness that we are in a silent war and people need to prioritize their well-being and their children's well-being, our future generations. I have 2 little girls. You know, it's been really tough the past 3 years. Our family's been split. You know, their father's on the complete other side, who's, you know, all for the shots and everything. So it's up to us really to start planting these seeds for our children so they can, you know, back to our acronym and our name, the self-determination. They need to choose for themselves. I'm not here to tell anybody what to do. Let's just present all the information. Look at it yourself in your own blood, and the choice is yours.
And that's really what freedom is. I've had this conversation a few times recently that freedom means it's not just, you know, it's not just one side or the other side. Freedom actually means the freedom to choose, the freedom to make a choice, the freedom to take a vaccine or not take a vaccine. And if you believe in freedom, if you believe in freedom of religion, or if you believe in freedom of speech, or if you believe in freedom of anything, the pendulum has to be both ways. You know, you can't just say I'm right and you're wrong, because I'm seeing that a lot right now with the pandemic. Like you said, it has split people up and had made so much division. And I think that's by design, almost by the bigger, whoever's in charge. I don't even have all the answers. I don't even know all the answers. I just question. That's who I am. I'm just questioning. And yeah, like, freedom means you are free to make your own choice. You're free to make your own religion, your own choices for your own family, but don't put those choices on or those things on me. And so if you want it that, you know, if we actually believe in freedom, it's freedom for all, not just ours.
I just wanted to add, one of the things where you're asking, like, Kenisha, where do you think all this stuff's coming from? You know, there was a time that I was noticing quite a distinct differentiation between somebody who had participated in the experimental treatments and somebody who had not. It was a clear division for myself. I was able to, you know, with accuracy and with confidence, say this one is one that participated and this one is one that didn't, because I was seeing in the blood very specific foreign contamination, certain types of pollution that I'd not recognized before in doing this type of work. And that was interesting. Side note, there was a holistic dentist that came to me. They brought me 5 vials of anesthetic. They said, I have concerns. We look at this stuff under the microscope. Now I also have concerns. I took this to another lab. I asked them, are my slides dirty? I was very careful with my extraction, but do you think I could be making a mistake? No, certainly no mistake. There is foreign contaminants that should not be in these vials, in not just these participation injections, but also other injections. He shared with me that his partner, a type 1 diabetic, they put the insulin underneath the microscope. It was also present, the same foreign contaminants that we're seeing in the blood, in the anesthetic, in the insulin. So where is this stuff coming from? Like Kenisha said, the children's blood is just looking really horrible. And these are from unvaccinated from birth children. So these children that I'm talking about have not had vaccinations, have not had all these different things, should have perfectly good blood running outside, like eating well, and having a serious amount of contamination and pollution present in the blood to the point where I'm wanting to do something about it. And so where is this coming from? Yes, the air, yes, the food, yes, the water, but this is also coming in from other products that we've been trusting. We've been trusting these products to help us in our life. And, you know, when people are saying, you know, the left or the right or this or that, it's like, it might look like it's very divided left and right. But as you back away from this beast, you tend to see that the left wing and the right wing are attached to the same machine. And so when Shane is talking about getting away from Babylon, that's the beast. It's the beast of Babylon. So whether you're on the left or whether you're on the right or the top or the bottom or the in or the out or whatever, if you're still attached to this conceptual ideologies, right? That's split into so many different types of titles or packages or whatever people are talking about. They're this affiliation with this group. No, you're still part of the Babylon beast. You can pretend you wear different shoes or have a different color, but you're the same. It's all the same. When we're in that confinement of the Babylon beast, that's what it is. So we need to not participate. We need to go out into the field away from everything else and have a break and have a nap, put our feet in the earth, and then have a good look at what's really true and what's really real and the situation that we're faced in. Because this is not about pointing fingers. This is not about calling names. This is not about right or wrong, positive or negative, good or bad. Those are all just labels. This is about expansion and contraction and what do we want to participate and align with. And people need to make that decision for themselves. So many people don't even know how to make a decision. But that's the thing. People don't know what to do. Learn how to make a decision. It's called critical thinking, logical reasoning, and make a decision in alignment with where you want to go.
But they don't teach you that in school.
Because school is not to teach you that. School is to keep you in confinement. School is to train you for the beast of Babylon so that you pick a left or you pick a right or you pick an up or a down or a black or a white or whatever it is. You pick a side. We don't care what side you choose as long as you pick a side and go against the other person.
Yeah. And back to left and right and us versus them. It's the division they're trying. So I don't know who or what or whatever. Well, I think it's not good. I think it's bigger than just human beings. I think there's something spiritual to this for sure, but they're trying to put us against one another. And you're right. It's like blood. We were just talking about blood. My blood runs red. Your blood runs red. Like I've not seen purple, pink, or blue yet. I don't know that much about blood.
Actually, your blood is blue. And then when it has
Blue.
yeah, your blood is blue. And then when you have oxygen, then it becomes red. And so when you have certain levels of oxygen, so when the blood is very, very dark, it means there's a lack of oxygen. And then when the blood is very, very bright, it means there's an abundance of oxygen. When you do ozonation treatments, you find a very bright, brilliant blood. And people that are having their blood ozonated in certain types of filtration treatments are noticing and being all these things from the rich oxygen levels. And so blood is blue and oxygenated blood is red. And the difference is how much oxygen is in the blood.
Interesting. Fascinating. And so, yeah, but the point is we all have blood in our bodies. We are all the same. We were all born of two parents. You know, we are in it together, whether we like to or not. And I was saying to Shane earlier, actually, that the difference I find between a lot of my customers when I had my farm were very left wing. And I find the difference between a left wing person and some of us are like, we've got our little tinfoil hats on to differing degrees. So those of us with tinfoil hats, the difference between the two of us is one still trusts the government and one doesn't. That's really almost what it comes down to. And so if you think about that, we're not actually that far off one another. So we just need to find our commonalities and our ground and pull that together and start coming together as people. And I've been saying it for a while too. We, the people, can be the change. We don't need our governments to change things. That's all out of our control. And really, we almost in some ways can't worry about it. And we can worry about what we're doing with ourselves and within our communities. Are we growing food? Are we sharing that food? Are we working with others? Are we building great relationships? Are we building relationships? Or are we stuck on our devices and not caring about one another and just, stuck to the screen where it's basically almost a dictatorship of what the information. And yeah, it comes back to, like you were saying, critical thinking. Are you questioning? Are you, what is going on? And that's the biggest thing is when you question, that's where you're going to get more answers and that's where you're going to get more clarity. And then back to the whole God thing, when you pray and you ask God, what's going on? He's the creator of the universe. And so, yeah, I think that's a great place to start is talking to the creator and saying, we're just people here. What do you want from us? Where should we go? And if you start letting Jesus lead you, that's where we're going to find true freedom.
That's a good segue when you're asking, you're saying the importance of coming into community and, the things that we're doing right now are exactly that. And so maybe we can share our projects that we have on the go right now.
Yeah, we have multiple projects and multiple collaborations with different partners. And we really need to collaborate in so many ways. Gone are the days where we take the phone book and look things up and find someone to give us a service or a product. We need to talk about collaborations. And it's like, what can we barter? What can we trade? How can we have meaningful interactions with people that don't involve this third party? Like, what is the third party doing here? Did you invite them? Because I sure didn't. I'm not interested. And when you're talking about the greenhouses and the competition and things like that, it's like we're still talking about raw ingredients there, right? Like a cucumber is a cucumber. But what about all these things in the grocery stores where maybe that's a bad example, cucumber, but the things on the shelves, they have like 35 ingredients and I don't know what 29 of them are. It's like, what is happening to this cucumber to turn it into this, like, it's not anymore. But I remember walking in the store and seeing purple ketchup and I bought it. I was excited. Purple ketchup, man, that's crazy. Guess what? I took it home. I don't know why I thought it would taste different, but it tasted exactly like red ketchup. And
but it was the chemical.
Well, that made me concerned, actually. Back before I was really dealing with the whole food sovereignty and like thinking about getting fruits and vegetables and not having a relationship with like Chef Boyardee and Tuna Helper. That was my lifestyle back then. But it was like this purple ketchup tasting exactly the same as the red ketchup. I was like, that doesn't make sense to me. What's going on? And so I was already in my process of not eating the ketchup. But this is, don't drink the ketchup, don't drink the Kool-Aid, all that stuff. But the projects are really about bringing people together. So it's about people who want to be in a brotherhood, want to be in a sisterhood, want to be in the unity of community. We want to come together as a family. And so it's no longer like, there's no hierarchy. There's no like leader at the top. There's no one barking orders at everybody else. There's no like policies and procedures that you need to adhere to. This is a common ground. This is guiding principles. And we're really in the process of setting up different locations because, like you said, what powerful way to be is get a group of people together and get a greenhouse and start to grow and provide for ourselves. And so that's really what we're doing within our community, is setting up different locations and helping people that already have their own locations with the education from someone like yourself. Because maybe people build these greenhouses, but then you know what? They don't know what to do with their greenhouse. I had a question actually come in when I told somebody we were going to come on your show. And they said, I want to know how to get my backyard growing again because it was good for like 10 years. And the last couple of years, the yields have been nothing. And here in Calgary, I mean, we have a short growing season as it is. Like, what can I do to like up my yields? And I was like, what a great question. I am the perfect person to ask. And so we're disseminating this information to our community who are trying to have their backyard garden unsuccessfully. And isn't that just the way that the Babylon would want it, where we have this, you know what you should put in your backyard? Not a garden. That's a terrible idea. Get a lawn and put a bunch of chemicals on that. So when your kids go out there, they're getting chemicals in their feet and your pets too. Oh yeah, don't forget about the pets. So it's like,
that's just it. It's about the control, right? Because if you have the lawn, you're not growing your own food. If you're not growing your own food, you're dependent on a grocery store. You were talking about purple ketchup. I think right now society is demonizing farmers. Now, I was a farmer. My hat even says no farmers, no food. People are demonizing farmers right now. The farmers are not the problem. The farmers are not the problem. The farmers are not the problem. The society and the big corporate, like that is the problem. It's the ones that are creating this quote unquote food in the grocery store that is the problem. It's the chemicals in our food. So it's not the farmer. It's actually not the cucumber. I know, I actually know many of the greenhouse growers here in the province of Alberta. They are very lovely. They only use pesticide as a very last resort. I think that is good, safe food. Now, it is part of a bigger system. You can only find it in grocery stores or many times only in grocery stores. So that is a bit of a problem, is how to access it, but it is good food. The problem is when you've got your wheat farmer who grew the wheat, brought it to the terminal. That wheat got shipped to who knows where, processed into who knows what, taken out, added to. We get it back on the grocery store. We get it. It's not the wheat that was the problem. It's the shit on the shelf. That's the problem. And so, but they're demonizing the farmer over it. It's not the farmer that's the problem. It's the middleman and what we're doing to our system. Here's a little interesting thing. I know of an individual, or a couple individuals actually, and they were little ones, and these little ones could not have milk. They couldn't drink milk, have cheese, anything. They would get very, very sick. Grocery store milk. And so they had none, and they got a hold of some raw dairy, and boom, their guts are fixed. Why? Because the milk, when it's on the farm, is fine. The milk on the farm is fine. If you go to that farmer's bulk tank and you take some of that milk is fine. But once it leaves the farm, it goes to the packing house and the warehouse and the whatever. And it's all the things that they do in between there. And then when we get it back on the shelf, it's dead. It's gross. It's not the same food. It's not food. And so that's the problem with our system, with our food system right now. And so that's where it comes to community, building in with one another, having a garden, even in the space that you have. That's what I'm teaching right now. Do what you can in the space that you have. If you have a backyard, grow some vegetables. If you have a little extra to share with your neighbor down the road that doesn't have quite as much.
Want to know else where it's coming from, though? And this is why we want this property so bad. Is we need to get our kids out of the school and stop having the innocence of them indoctrinated in these BS lies. My daughter came home and she told me all about Earth Day and what they learned on Earth Day. And do you want to know what they're teaching them? That farms are bad and that we need to get rid of all the farms. That's what they're teaching them in the public school system, right? And I'm like, even my mom was there. She's like, well, how are we going to feed the people? And then she starts to she goes, store. And then my mom was like, well, where is the store getting it from? But her whole class believes now that, the farms are bad. So yeah, the education is huge right now.
That is terrifying. And yeah, like we're gonna see starvation if that's the case. It's so sad to me. We had Alberta Open Farm Days on the farm when I had my farm, and I would have kids come out to the farm and they would see that a carrot came out of the ground and they would wipe a little. They'd watch me. I'd wipe a little of the dirt off the carrot and then I'd eat the carrot. Like that is the best carrot, and kids need to know that is where food comes from. And that's the education behind it. We need to know where our food comes from and how it's raised and what you've done with it, and being stewards, like you've said, stewards of the land.
My gosh, my daughter just had a carrot from the ground. It was right before winter here, and she was just ecstatic. And she was pointing at the dirt because the girl that we were visiting lived on the farm, and I've never seen, they like the packaging. The mindset of our children's need to change. They're used to opening up all these packaged foods, and I was just like, a moment I'll carry on with me forever, just to see her pick the carrot from the ground and literally eat the dirt. And then her face, like she never had a carrot taste like that before. It was like the first time. And I'm like, it was almost sad too, like as a mom, like you just want to protect your children and give them everything that you possibly can to see them flourish. And I'm like, my child has never had a carrot up and she's freaking 9. So, I'm really on a mission right now, Dawn, to change the mindsets of people, help spread this awareness on the importance of getting out of this silent war and getting back into community, coming together in these private membership associations and doing what we can to secure our future.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. It almost made me, when you were speaking there about the carrot and your daughter, it almost made me well up with tears, because I can remember that's the part I miss the most about my farm, is the relationship with people, the community, and the relationship that I had with my customers, whether I agreed with them or not, or whether they agreed with me or not. Their kids ate my food. And they told me that I had many parents say, my kids won't eat tomatoes, but they'll eat your tomatoes, Dawn. And that I know, like,
I got goosebumps. I don't know if you can see it. I love that.
Yeah, that is the part that I miss the most about my farm. And back to the whole God thing, God must have a bigger plan. Because if you took me out of that, there must be something bigger with, if you give a man a fish, he eats for a day. But if you teach a man to fish, he eats for a lifetime. So, your family that in Calgary that need help with their backyard and their growing and their season, like, send them my way. That's what I'm doing, is teaching men to fish, teaching people how to do their food and building back that community. And we need it. It's so important. It's more important now than ever before. It's not the same now as what it was 20 or 30 years ago when we were all young. So yeah. Melissa, do you have thoughts?
Man, I got so many I got so many thoughts. My parents thankfully have a garden that's away from their family home. It's in Airdrie. And when I bring the carrots places, I'll go to a potluck and I'll bring a bag of carrots, and my stepdad has sprayed them off pretty good. They're clean enough for me, clean enough for you. We'd all eat them, and people look at them, but then they start eating them and they go first. It's like people, they look at it. They're like, "Oh, that's tarnished. That's dirty. That's germy." But then there's something inside of us that's innate. When it tastes that actual true flavor, it's like, we're supposed to be eating this. What kind of beautiful beneficial microbes are in that soil, nourishing our bodies? right? So I'm in health and wellness, and one of the products that I use a lot is a digestive enzymes or proteolytic enzymes. And I remember when I first got into that, I was doing the training, and one of the trainings is like, we take our kids and we tell them to run out, and they go and they play in the dirt. And then we go, little boy, that's very, very bad. You're very, very dirty. You spray them off, wash them off, and give them a Twinkie. And it's like, where did we go wrong? And because this is what people are doing. They're like, oh no, don't send your kid outside. They're going to get dirty. I want my kid to I want to be dirty. I want to be dirty from actual dirt. I want to eat carrots with actual dirt. Like, I think that's clean. I think that's cleaner than going to put hand sanitizer on my hands. I would rather eat the dirt on my hands. I would rather not wash my hands than put hand sanitizer, offering my endocrine system to be contaminated by all these chemicals that are forever chemicals. These are not going to dissipate. People are like, oh, it only stays on there. It only stays wet for a minute. No, girlfriend, that stuff stays in your endocrine system till the end of time. It does not have a shelf life. It does not have a half-life. It's never going anywhere. It's staying in you. If you donate your body to science and they cut you up, they're going to find the hand sanitizer stuff in your endocrine system. You know what? This is very interesting. This is maybe a little off topic, but you might like it. There's this treatment called yoni steaming. There's a whole bunch of benefits for steaming the yoni. But at the end of the yoni steam, you can put this detox in there. So it's like a bunch of it's like a tea bag, but it's you put it in the vagina for a day or 2 days or whatever is your protocol for that. And then you pull it out. I was looking at a picture, one that this practitioner was showing me. She showed me on her phone, and this woman's, it was blue. And then there was another picture where the woman was holding it, and the woman's nail polish was the same color blue that was on the app. And so right. And so these forever chemicals are coming into our bodies through this lacquer that we're taught, your natural nails, those don't look good. You want to get a real boyfriend, you need to get a manicure. You need to put some nails on your
Those are your detox pathways. You got all closed up.
Right. But this is, you know what? So this is not against anybody. This is not a judgment, but this is, our great grandparents did not lacquer their nails. They did not have all these artsy fartsy lashes, makeups, injections, implants, crowns, root canals, all these titanium hips, all these things. This is not, and I mean, I have family members that have all of these things. And so this is not a judgment, but this is an observation. We are inundated with forever chemicals because we have all these innate, inanimate contractions or whatever they are in our body, whether it be a root canal, a breast implant, titanium hip, like we have all these parts
Synthesized, and it's not from God. Whatever we're putting in our body that is not from God, we can't get that out. It's getting stuck.
And what is happening to our appendix and our tonsils and our gallbladders? Like, why are some people born with this extra gallbladder that they don't need? That's what I question. I was apparently born with these tonsils that I had no use for. They were taken out when I was 10. Nobody talks to me about grocery store milk. I obviously had an amoxicillin deficiency because I was made to take this stuff all the time. And when the amoxicillin that I was taking to fill my deficiency didn't quite work and my tonsils were still this and I was always sick. I was sick on all these things. And it didn't make any sense because my mom, actually, we were very, very healthy. But I always had these tonsil problems. But why would I have that? Well, obviously I was made with these extra tonsils, needed to get scalpeled out. And they had to take my adenoids too. But what extra adenoids I was born with? This is crazy. But why were they inflamed? Because of the grocery store milk.
Interesting. Hey. Wow. Yeah. As I'm sitting here with my lashes and my nails, sorry.
No, don't say sorry. Don't say sorry at all. We're all in our different journeys, but
I never thought about it.
Well, and it's freedom of choice, right? Like that's the thing. And that's when it comes back to the vaccine. It's my choice to have my nails. Cause honestly, if I don't have these nails, I bite my nails so bad that they are bleeding and bloody and, and I'm just making my own bad choices here. That's the thing. But that's what freedom comes back to and then I'm going to do different things in my life. I'm going to eat out of my backyard. I'm going to eat the eggs that I raised in my backyard. I'm going to eat the vegetables that I've had, eat the carrot with the dirt on it. Back to the carrot with the dirt on it. I know why that carrot tastes better.
tell me.
It tastes better because we're in Alberta, and in Alberta, we have cooler nights than anywhere else in the world. And so that colder weather drives more sugar into it, natural sugar, not bad sugar, sugars into that carrot. And that's why that carrot is sweeter.
Yeah, my stepdad says that he takes some of the beets, but he makes us leave them until there's been cooler, because because I asked him, I'm like, oh, let me come help you guys. He's like, no, we're not ready. I'm like, well, I'm ready. You guys are old. I'm young. Let's go. He's like, no, the beets will be fine in the ground. I'm like, but they're going to freeze. He's like, that makes them better. I was like, how does freezing beets make it better? But that makes sense.
It's the sugars, yeah, for sure. It's why corn, I used to have corn growing in my field on the farm, and my corn was always sweeter than Tabor corn. It was later than Tabor corn. I never actually got corn till late August, early September, but yeah, it was sweeter because of the colder nights. So if we got that 1-2 degrees just before the frost, that corn was so sweet that, I would eat it raw off the cobs.
Want to be able to access that, we need to, again, going back to the awareness. I think we're doing ourselves a disservice if we're not prioritizing the food right now. And I have so much love and respect for you, Dawn, and just the courage you've had and all the things and obstacles that you've accomplished to be where you're at right now. It's just, I'm really grateful to be in collaboration with you, and I want to support you in any way I can.
Thank you. Yeah. And we will collaborate again and some more. I know it. So just in closing here, let's have some final thoughts here from each one of you, and Shane, we find you, and how can we collaborate, and what can we do here?
Yeah, maybe share your vision, Shane, for the plan on the land.
So what we've got planned is a series of initiatives. They all revolve around sovereignty, whether that be food sovereignty, medicine sovereignty, self-determination, any of those types of activities. Those are the things we're actively pursuing on. Language classes, because this is all about language at the end of the day. Language does matter, and a lot of people are using the wrong Babylonian language. And if we keep speaking the Babylonian language, we will remain exactly where we are, and we will remain treated exactly as we are. So we have to get away from this Babylonian system, whether that be our language, our food, our medicine. What's interesting in this life, and you'll find it once I say it, is that there's always a middleman. There's a middleman between us and our education, the teacher. There's a middleman between us and our money, the banker. There's a middleman between us and our lawful or legal way, the lawyer. There's a middleman between us and our health, the doctor. There's a middleman between us and God, the preacher. Anyways, the middleman is the problem. And who resides in the middle? The dark one, Lucifer, Satan, whatever you want to call him. That's why we're always caught up. Anyways, that's what we're about. This is what we're doing. If you want to join us, get a hold of Kenisha and Melissa. And other than that, you really can't find me online. And that's okay. And like, honestly, like, people are going to be where they're at. And this is, like Kenisha said, we're all in our own journey. I'm just, I've been at it for a long time. So my circle's getting smaller, but my circle's getting better. My community's getting way smaller, but my community's getting way better. Okay. Because we're choosing to be with the ones that are with us. I'm getting away from all the middlemans in my life. I'm cutting all the social contracts that reside on me. And there's many. Okay. And there's many on all of us, and you don't even realize it. But those social contracts have to be cut. Your social circles got to get more concentrated and more defined. Do not fear in this life. Know who your creator is. Submit to your creator. Pray to your creator. Prayer is the number one thing, in my opinion, in the last couple of years that is more and more important, because to me, it holds more and more validity, more and more truth, and more healing than most things. So just be your authentic self. If you got questions about how to do that, come and talk to me. I've been doing it for a long time. I know a lot about this situation, okay? Thank you so much, Don, for having us here. Thank you for letting us speak to your platform, and all the people that come and participate. God be with you all, and just get on with yourselves. Don't be part of it. Non-participation, just say no.
I won't. I don't comply very well. I don't listen and obey very well. I like to do things the hard way. So yeah. Okay, Melissa, any last thoughts?
You know what? I really appreciate you having us on here, and I really look forward to growing this community. I want to encourage people to join programs like what Dawn is offering, because she's really being a bridge. She's being a bridge from where you are at to like what you conceptualize in the future that you may think is far outside your reach. What if it's not? What if it's not outside your reach? What if it just takes a little bit of education and a little bit of effort to get those results? I know people are probably struggling finding the skill set because, you know, you got to learn about the air and the water and the seasons and the light and the changes and everything and the moon cycles. I know we talk a lot about that. So we're getting ourselves off the Gregorian calendar. But we want to focus on these types of things, and you can do it on your own. You can struggle through the seasons and, you know, take 5, 10, 20 years to like learn how to do this before you know how to do it. And that's fine. Or you can plug into a system that Dawn is offering where she's already done the work. She's already made the mistake. She's already learned the lessons, and she has the skill set and she has the patterning that you can just process into what you're doing. She's going to be able to help you identify roadblocks that you don't even know are going to be there when you would get there, because there's so many. And I mean, I don't know anything about farming. Like I know very little from like having a little herb garden or my parents doing this kind of stuff or having friends with greenhouse. And I like the way I feel in the greenhouse. Like I like to, in the greenhouse, that's like
My favorite.
heaven for me. I just like to feel that smell. But it's like, and people can love that too, but it's like there is a synchronicity to how things progress through the greenhouse, through the seasons, through the life cycle of these different plants. And here's the thing too, is certain plants protect each other, certain plants help each other in their growing cycles. And so a leader like Dawn in the community, that she can just lead us to that result without having to go through all those trials and tribulations on your own. So plug into the community.
Thank you, man. Thank you so much for those kind words. I really appreciate it. When you were speaking earlier too about your friend, what's the nutrients in the soil? That's my first question. What are they feeding their plants? Plants need nutrients to grow, just like we need food to grow. And so hearing your story about your friend, that would be my very first question right off the bat, is what are you feeding your plants? So thank you so much for those words. And Kenisha, any last thoughts on before we run here?
No, I think Melissa, she's such an amazing speaker. I just love this girl. Yeah, people can come and find us and check out more of what we're doing at yycrocks.ca. And if you're interested in any of the blood work, there's information on our other website, cellfood.
I love it. And that's where you can test people's blood.
Yes, they can come find me there. Again, I'm only working in the private now, so you have to be a member within our community. But if that's not of interest, we can still forward you to other people we trust that are doing it as well.
Nice. I love it. Well, thank you so much, all of you, for being on the show today. Really appreciate your time. Really appreciate the conversation. And yeah, I look forward to having more conversations in the future.